It is that time of the year when leaves fall and the air grows cooler. In this autumn season, there is one event that is eagerly celebrated at the end of October. Of course, we are talking about Halloween, the night of costumes, candies, scary stories, and perhaps even ghosts. Well, maybe I exaggerate about ghosts. But have you ever wondered where the tradition of dressing up as monsters and frightening friends came from? Its history goes back centuries to ancient rituals and beliefs that may surprise you. Support this video with a like if you've ever celebrated Halloween. Thank you. You see, Halloween is not just about store-bought decorations and horror movies. Its roots lie in a much older, mysterious world. Specifically, the ancient Celts, a people who lived over 2,000 years ago. They celebrated a festival called Samhain, and this is where the true story of Halloween begins. Samhain marked the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter. It was a time of both celebration and fear when the Celts honored the dead and sought to ward off unwanted spirits. But how did this ancient festival transform into the Halloween we know and love today? This video, A Journey Through Time, shows the influence of Roman conquerors, Christian traditions, and even some eerie legends. Imagine the ancient times, the heart of Ireland, Britain, and parts of France. The Celts, truly connected to the land and its cycles, prepared for a night unlike any other. It was Samhain night, when the boundary between this world and the other world, the world of spirits and magic, became thin. The Celts believed that on this night, the souls of the dead could walk among the living. It was a time of anticipation and anxiety, a night when the ordinary intertwined with the supernatural. Samhain was not a night of fear of death, but a night of honoring it. The Celts viewed death as a natural part of the life cycle. Families gathered to remember deceased loved ones, sharing stories about them, and leaving offerings of food and drink in their honor. They believed that by honoring the dead, they could maintain harmony between worlds and ensure the peaceful transition of souls. It was a time for reflection, remembrance, and attention to those who had passed before. As darkness fell, enormous bonfires were lit across the land on Samhain night. These fires were not just sources of warmth, they were powerful symbols of protection against evil spirits. The Celts believed that fire had purifying energy, capable of warding off malevolent forces and illuminating the night. People gathered around these flames, their faces flickering in the firelight as they told stories and offered gifts to appease the spirits. To protect themselves from wandering souls, the Celts wore masks and costumes made of animal hides and heads. They believed that by transforming into creatures of the other world, they could remain unseen by malevolent spirits. It was a night when the boundary between human and supernatural blurred, a night when the air was filled with the breath of mystery and magic. Imagine these figures moving in the darkness. Their silhouettes flicker in the shadows, creating a haunting yet mesmerizing spectacle. No Samhain celebration was complete without a feast. But this was no ordinary meal. Food and drinks were offered as gifts to appease wandering spirits and ensure a bountiful harvest for the coming year. This was how the Celts showed respect for the spirits and maintained balance between the worlds. As the centuries passed, so too did the traditions of Samhain. When the Roman Empire expanded its reach into Celtic lands, it brought its own festivals. One such festival was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans commemorated the passing of the dead. Another was a festival to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The apple, a symbol of Pomona, likely became integrated into the Samhain celebrations, which could explain the origin of traditions like bobbing for apples that we still see at Halloween parties today. This blending of cultures was the first major step in Samhain's long transformation. The next significant change came with the spread of Christianity. In the 7th century, Pope Boniface IV designated May 13th as All Saints' Day, a day to honor saints and martyrs. A century later, Pope Gregory III moved the observance to November 1st, placing it directly on top of the old Samhain festival. This was a common practice, a way to absorb and Christianize pagan traditions rather than eradicating them. The night before All Saints' Day, October 31st, became known as All Hallows' Eve, which eventually shortened to Halloween. The Church also established November 2nd as All Souls' Day, a day to honor all the dead, not just the saints. It was celebrated with bonfires, parades, and dressing up in costumes as saints, angels, and devils. These celebrations mirrored the old Samhain rituals, but now with a Christian framing. The bonfires, once lit to ward off Celtic spirits, were now said to honor the souls in purgatory. The act of dressing up, once meant to disguise oneself from spirits, became a way to represent religious figures. The lines between the old pagan ways and the new Christian faith began to blur, creating a rich and complex tapestry of belief and tradition. But where do trick-or-treating and jack-o'-lanterns come from? These familiar customs have fascinating origins of their own. The practice of souling, a precursor to trick-or-treating, became popular in medieval Britain and Ireland. On All Souls' Day, the poor would go from door to door, offering prayers for the dead in exchange for soul cakes, small round cakes often marked with a cross. Each cake eaten represented a soul freed from purgatory. This tradition of going door to door and receiving treats laid the groundwork for modern trick-or-treating. Another related practice was guising. In Scotland and Ireland, young people would dress up in costumes and go from house to house, performing a short song, poem, or trick in exchange for food, wine, or money. It was a playful and theatrical custom, and the idea of performing for a treat is a direct ancestor of the trick-or-treat we know today. Now let's talk about those iconic glowing pumpkins. The original jack-o'-lanterns weren't made from pumpkins at all. They were carved from turnips, potatoes, or large beets in Ireland and Scotland. The tradition is tied to an Irish folk tale about a man named Stingy Jack. According to the legend, Jack was a clever but miserable man who tricked the devil for his own monetary gain. When Jack died, God wouldn't allow him into heaven, and the devil, keeping his promise not to claim his soul, wouldn't let him into hell. Instead, Jack was cursed to roam the earth for eternity, with only a single burning coal inside a carved-out turnip to light his way. He became known as Jack of the Lantern, or Jack-o'-lantern. The Irish and Scottish began to carve their own versions of Jack's lantern, placing them in windows or by doors to frighten away Stingy Jack and other wandering evil spirits. So how did all these European traditions cross the Atlantic and become the American Halloween we celebrate? It was largely thanks to immigration. In the second half of the 19th century, America saw a massive influx of new immigrants, especially from Ireland, who were fleeing the potato famine. They brought their rich Halloween traditions with them. They shared stories of Stingy Jack and introduced the practice of carving jack-o'-lanterns. Finding that the Native American pumpkin was much larger and easier to carve than a turnip, they quickly adopted it as the new medium for their spooky creations. Initially, the celebrations were confined to immigrant communities, but as different European ethnic groups and Native American traditions mixed, a distinctly American version of Halloween began to emerge. The early American celebrations were often public events designed to celebrate the harvest. Neighbors would share stories of the dead, tell each other's fortunes, dance and sing. By the early 20th century, Halloween was becoming more widespread, but it was also becoming a night for pranks and mischief, some of which escalated into vandalism. In an effort to curb this and make the holiday more community-focused and child-friendly, towns and civic leaders began to promote organized, family-friendly activities. Parades and town-wide Halloween parties became the new norm. And by the 1950s, community leaders and candy companies had successfully pushed trick-or-treating as a safe and fun alternative to pranks. The focus of Halloween shifted from a day of religious and spiritual observance to a secular community-based holiday centered on children and treats. Today, Halloween is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's a night of creative expression, spooky fun, and, of course, a whole lot of candy. From ancient Celtic bonfires to glowing pumpkins on American porches, the journey of Halloween is a story of cultural exchange, adaptation, and transformation. It's a festival that has been shaped by pagans, Romans, Christians, and immigrants, each adding their own unique layer to its rich history. So, the next time you carve a pumpkin or put on a costume, remember the ancient Celts of Samhain. Remember the souls being prayed for with soul cakes, and the eerie glow of a turnip lantern meant to ward off a lost soul named Jack. You're not just participating in a modern holiday, you're taking part in a tradition that stretches back thousands of years. A tradition that connects us to our ancestors and to the enduring magic of this special night. It's a testament to how stories and rituals can travel through time, changing and evolving, yet still retaining a spark of their original mystery. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of Halloween. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the stories behind our favorite traditions. We'll see you in the next one.